Well, welcome to Fahrenheit Performance Podcast, episode number 66. Today we have a very special guest, Mika Noodt. Welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, hello. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Look forward to the chat.
No problems. You've been pro for, I guess, 3-4 years now?
Yeah. So on paper for 4 years, but I do consider myself a pro since like 3 years, I'd say.
Okay. But you're already, I looked up your PTO rankings, you're already number 5 in the world. You're the best German. Swims number 10, bikes number 6, run number 21. So you're up there on all the categories, right? So
yeah. That doesn't sound bad when you say it like this.
Yeah. I know that you're a huge fan of the podcast. But what we're going to do here today is we'll talk about your past, present, the future. If someone wants to be Mika Noodt in the future, this is going to be the recipe to how to get there, right? So why don't we just rewind? How long have you been doing triathlon, and when did you start?
Yeah, it's 11 years now, so
Okay.
time's really running fast. I did start when I was still living with my parents in Wolfsburg.
Mm-hmm.
So as a child, like even before I started triathlon, I'd consider myself like an all-rounder. So I wasn't into competitive sports. I didn't do like competition or anything. I just was outside a lot, played a lot around. My parents used to bring us to the Alps for summer holiday. So yeah, I was a lot in nature, and like I just enjoyed moving. And yeah, then 1 year in 2012, I think, it was summer and we were in Wolfsburg, and there was this triathlon, and I spectated, and I was so fascinated by all the aero helms, nice bikes. That's when I said, yeah, I want to do it as well.
So
and
you weren't like doing cross country in school or swimming or that sort of stuff? You just...
No, like luckily I learned to swim when I was 6 years old. So I had like the basics, but I wasn't like a competitive swimmer or something like this. Yeah. Once a year I did participate in the Wolfsburg Marathon, and they had like a Bambini run, for kids. Yeah. It was 1K, and I always won it. Yeah. Like without training for it.
Focus.
So I knew that I must have some kind of talent for it. But yeah, my parents weren't into competitive sports either. So they didn't push me at all. So yeah, I just explored it myself basically. And yeah, I mean, we all know it when we get into triathlon, it's very competitive, and you realize quite soon if you are good or if you're bad. Yep. And yeah, luckily I was quite good. And
so that first race when you were 13, you did okay?
No, my first race was horrible. It was completely different conditions than we're gonna have here in Singapore. So it was 10 degrees and raining. And I was, I don't know, I mean, I was 13 years old, maybe I was 45 kgs. I was always super small as a kid and super skinny. And I was just freezing
and then the
my
bike
ass off.
would have been really cold,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. The swim was fine. On the bike, I was freezing like mad, and I just couldn't run. When I started the run, I was already crying.
Yeah, I think your core temperature would have been so cold by then. It was just so high.
And my parents were like, he's gonna stop triathlon straight away after this one. I mean, they didn't push me, so I could have stopped, but somehow I had this fire in me, and my second race I won it, and then I was hooked.
Yeah.
And, I kept going. Yeah.
So
like as a child, I was still going to normal school, no sports school or anything. So I always trained like on the side. When all my friends went home to play PlayStation, I was going to the swimming pool, fighting with grandmas on the lane, because we didn't have a great club structure there. So I did most of my training alone.
Okay. Did you have a coach?
A child? So yeah, I did. But like I had a training group which I saw 2 or 3 times a week. But like even as a child, you still train 8-9 times a week as a triathlete. So yeah, I was quite intrinsically motivated, I'd say.
Yeah, that's amazing actually.
Yeah.
And then so I guess after that second race, you thought this is it. Do you think this is what I want to do for life?
No, I didn't. I didn't think that long term. Actually, I was just thinking from basically from one summer to the next one. Or in winter, my only motivation was to ride outside again, because in winter I just didn't ride. I didn't have an indoor trainer, so yeah, I was just looking forward to the weather to get better. But honestly, until I won my first 70 on 3, I really didn't didn't have that dream to become a pro athlete. I just had fun with the sport.
So you're like an age group like the rest of us until you won that race.
Yeah, I'd say so.
And then, so you were actually like a computer science degree or some sort of electrical engineering or something you started. Did you finish that degree or did you?
No, I didn't. I started it I went to normal school, then I went to normal university in Darmstadt. And there I had like better training conditions as well, which helped, of course, for my development. But as I said, I was always like a quite late developer.
Yeah.
And so as a junior athlete, I was good, but I wasn't great. So I was like P10 to P15 at the national level in Germany. Yep. Yeah, which is okay, but you don't get any money with it. Yeah. So I just went to normal university. Yep. But then after just one semester, COVID hit. Yeah. So then it was March 2020. I couldn't race in 2020, so I just trained. Of course, I still studied, but I just studied at home. So yeah, I had more time for training.
I guess your 2021, you won the 70.3 Les Sables, right? Mm-hmm. I saw the picture of you. You were just in your club jersey, right? Yeah. You won overall. Yeah. Is it because of there was a pent up COVID, all that training you've been doing during COVID? This is the first race after COVID.
Basically, yeah. I had like 2 small races before, but this was the first like proper race I could do. And the only reason I was racing as a pro was because of COVID, because during COVID all our swimming pools were closed, maybe here as well. So in order to swim, you had to be a pro. At the end of 2020, I was like, okay, I want to swim this winter, but I'm not a pro, so I can't swim. But in Germany, you just have to pay 300 euros and you get a pro license. Okay. And then I did it. I didn't feel like a pro, but I at least I could swim. Yep. But man, after winning that race against Rui van Berg, I was like, okay, looks like I'm good at it, but I was so happy that I made that decision back then, because otherwise I would have just raced as an age group, I guess. Yeah.
And so that one race that you won, how did that open doors to you in terms of, because you didn't have any sponsors back then, and then now Rizon, Red Bull, Canyon, Head, are all your sponsors, right?
Yeah, it was a massive step for me. Also super unexpected. But yeah, this changed quite a lot. And this also was like the end of my university career, I'd say. So I had like 3.5 semesters by then. And then I had the chance to make money with the sport. Yeah. And I was like, okay, it's going to be now or never. Because even then I already had this feeling that the sport is going to shift, which I think was a very good decision, because nowadays you see so many young athletes already doing great stuff on the longer distances. Yeah, and you have to be 100% committed from an early age to be competitive. So
because you see that in cycling now,
absolutely,
you see that in triathlon. Like in 2021, you were 21, right? And most let's talk about age groupers. Most age groupers are in their 30s or 40s, right? But 21 is super early. Yeah. You got in your brain that you wanted to get into the sport, and you just took it on from there, right?
Yeah, definitely have. I was 20 at that time, so I think after Gustav, Ina was the second youngest ever winner of 71.3 Pro. So this also helped with sponsors, of course. Yeah, because they saw like the potential within me.
Because as a 20-year-old, you got maybe 50 or more years in the sport, right? If you won your first race at 30, you've only got a few years, right?
True. So. Yeah. And I think it was a good time to get into the sport, because that's when the PTO also started. And I'm very thankful that I also got into the pro scene then, because it makes living as a pro a lot easier, especially financially. Yeah.
So let's talk about that PTO. You were in town right now for the T100, which is on Sunday. And last year you did pretty well. Came 6th, right? Yep. And you're a wild card last year, right? And this year you're no longer wild. Is it your proper? You've got a contract.
Yeah. It's my first year as a contracted athlete, basically. Right. So yeah.
But you've been in Singapore already for a week, and then the race is in another week. Why did you come here so early? Early?
Yeah, because as you said, I already raced here last year and also the year before as well. Yeah. So I do know what's coming on race day. Yeah. And the last 2 years, was always super tough. The race and I mean in Germany it was we just came out of winter, so basically I was always running in like freezing conditions, and here it's going to be slightly different. So I wanted to get some heat prep in. I mean, of course, nowadays you can do plenty of stuff on the indoor trainer or with saunas, but from my experience I got from the last 2 years, it only gets you so far, and from certain point on you have to be exposed to the exact race conditions. And that's why I came to Singapore in 2023. I went to Phuket before. There I sadly got a stomach bacterium, so that's why I didn't want to go there again, because the risk is quite high to get something there, which my German doctor said. Then last year I came like 9 days pre-race to Singapore, and I stayed with Cyril, who also was on your podcast. Yes. And I really enjoyed it. The food was great at home, at his place, and that's why I wanted to come back. And I mean, the training infrastructure in Singapore was way better than I expected. I mean, usually in such big cities, even in Europe, the infrastructure isn't great. It's super dangerous on the bike, and here it's okay. I mean, the swimming pools are really nice.
If you're in a condo, you probably have one downstairs, right?
Yeah.
Have you been riding outside very much in Singapore?
Yeah. Like only yesterday I had an indoor ride, but every other ride was outdoor.
So what have you seen so far?
Sadly, not that much. Just TMCR.
Okay, you do go to TMCR.
Yeah. Just it's not that far from Cyril's place, and it's the safest option. I'd say. I do go to the bike path, and then to TMCR. And there I do my efforts. Then I can come back back home, and there running. You can run everywhere. Of course.
And there's lots of what they call PCNs, the running paths in Singapore, which is actually pretty safe. And so do you feel like that just running outside and understanding how the community works and the heat, and because you're going to be running, you'll be running in the late afternoon, right? So right in the hottest part of the day.
Yeah, exactly. And I already did like plenty of sweat testing, nutrition testing, hydration testing here. And I mean, you can also do it on the indoor trainer, but here, honestly, I got way different data, like up to 600 milliliter difference in sweat rate, and per hour, and when you calculate it to the whole race, it's a massive difference. So I'm really glad I got here quite early.
And you've done this race twice before. I think the race this year for the pros is exactly the same as last year.
Tiny change on the bike course, but like 99%.
Where do you think the race is going to be won in Singapore this year?
One for sure on the run. Okay. It can be lost everywhere.
Of course.
It can already be lost on the swim, because it's like swimming in a bath too there. So I don't expect the run to be crazy fast. I think if you run a solid pace, like for us, like 3:20, 3:25, which in Europe in normal conditions is like super easy for us. But here, being able to do it after 15k, when your core body temperature will be at like 39.5, that's going to be a different story.
And then the bike is a particularly hard bike as well, with the big. It's not for Singapore's a flat country, but somehow they managed to make the bike course pretty damn hard.
This one big bridge. But I'm looking forward to the bike course in particular. So it's nice, and it's not boring for sure. And on the bike, I think it's going to be crucial to hit all the 8 stations, to get all the bottles, to get the fluids in, but also to cool down. So as I said, you won't win the race there, but you can lose it. And I think with all the short course guys coming over now, some guys might even already lose it after the first swim lap, because they went out far too hard.
Oh, okay.
Like once you crossed a certain line of
body temperature,
temperature, you won't come back. So I already did some tests here, and there's like one specific number for. Of course, it's individual, but like I do know my number, so gonna try to stay below it as long as possible.
I was at the race last year, and the temperature of the water was 29 degrees or something like that. They've got to call the race off at 30 degrees, so they're just under it. So if you go too hard, you're already at 29 in the water. You're going to come out of the water sweating. It's really, really difficult, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So you talked about the short course guys, right? So this year, I've seen T100 is a bit different. All the long course guys, Gustav, Magnus, Sam Laidlow, they're not not really competing as much. But then you see the short course guys, Carl Smith, Hayden Wild, Vincent Lewis, Martin Van Riel, all coming in. Is that changing the race?
Yeah, for sure. Especially the first few races when these guys don't have that much experience yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, as I said, I think some guys are gonna underestimate it. So they gonna cook themselves way too early.
Especially in Singapore where the temperature is high.
It's so special to have these conditions as the first race of the season, which is always like special race, but then also these special conditions. So yeah, I would also love to spectate the race because I think it's going to be carnage.
Yeah, I think so too. And I guess the Singapore race, it's never a sprint finish. It's the top 5 is kind of strung out quite pretty big, right?
Yeah. Like last year, for example, here was P6 and I had like 5 minutes behind Yuri. Yeah. And in San Francisco, I was P5 and I was just 90 seconds behind the winner. So yeah.
Oh, because 3 of them crossed the line at the same time, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not going to ask you to bet against yourself, but if you weren't in the race in Singapore, who do you think are the big contenders for this year?
Yeah, so hard to say before the first race, but for sure Jelle. I mean, he's proved himself over the middle distance already, and he stayed in Australia the whole winter, like European winter. So
it's all summertime.
He already got exposed to some heat. Then Hayden as well. So yeah, and of course Martin as the defending champion.
But he just like in our terms, he did an Ironman yesterday. And 1 week later, he has the T100. Do you think he can recover fast enough to?
I think he can't be at 100%. Yeah. If he went all out yesterday, I'm not sure how hard he had to dig, but I mean, for sure he would have wanted to win.
Well, he did the 7:49, so it's pretty hard.
On this course, it's really impressive. Yeah. So yeah, props for him for trying. I hope he makes it to the start line and doesn't get a cold or something on the travel, because of course his immune system is a bit took a bit of a hit, but very impressive from him.
So you think this race is because of the short course guys is going to be just the beginning is going to be really, really hard?
Yes, I think so. Yeah, I think it's going to be hard from the get go. But as I said, I think we can expect at least 8 guys to completely blow up. And even when you think the race is done, like at K15 or 16 even on the run, don't switch off the TV and or leave the race course, because there still everything can happen. Honestly,
yeah, man. So this is switch to training, I guess. How much training do you do a week as a professional?
Usually it's around 30 hours a week. So I try to be as consistent as possible. I don't do more than 34 hours. Okay. But it's also very seldom that I do less than 24. Okay. Of course, when I'm injured or ill, but try to keep it around that 30-hour mark.
And obviously that's something in the morning and something like something in the middle. Twice a day, right?
Twice or 3 times even.
Do you have any days where it's a complete recovery day and everything's easy?
Just when I travel. Or when I'm sick. But even, for example, today is like a recovery day, and I just came back from 4K swim. Then now I do like some podcast. I'm going to do some work on the computer, some admin stuff, and then in the evening I have like 1 hour gym session. Okay. And then tomorrow it's
back to hard again.
Yeah, 4 hours again.
So the race is on Sunday afternoon. When's your last hard session going to be?
A hard session actually on Saturday, because I do need a bit of stimulus going into the race, so we can go through the week now. So yesterday I had a pretty long day.
So today's Monday.
Today's Monday, Yesterday I had a long day. Today's like recovery day. Then Tuesday I do some primers basically. On Wednesday I have like 2 hard sessions again. Thursday is easy but bit of volume, so I think it's gonna be 4.5 hours in total. Okay. Then Friday is an easy day where, it's like today basically. And that's going to be all about carb loading. So carb loading properly starts on Friday. And I want to go to bed with like full carb stores already. So that on Saturday I can do some primers again without depleting myself too much. And of course still carb load. But when I often like the day after a rest day, I don't feel that good. I need to be like in kind of a rhythm. So
So you do that Saturday, and then Sunday is race day, and you start in sometime in the afternoon, like 3 in the afternoon or something, right?
Yeah, 3 p.m. So in the morning, I'm gonna hop in the water, do some little activation in the water, then have a big breakfast, and then head down to the race course.
Yeah. And then so if, in your general training, you're 24 to 30 hours a week, right? Mm-hmm. Is every single session specific for a goal? Do you have a...
Yes. So every session does have like a specific session goal, but in general, I'd say I train very polarized, but not just with intensity. Actually, I do also quite a lot of threshold stuff, but also polarized in terms of mental effort I have to give for the session. So I do have sessions where I'm 100% focused. I really want to hit my intervals and stuff like this. I really weigh my nutrition for the session to hit like say 120 grams of carbs per hour. But then I also have sessions where I can mentally really switch off. Sometimes I even leave the Garmin back home. I just look at the watch when I go out. When do I come back? Okay, 4 hours, and I don't care about if I push 220 or 240 watts. I just go easy by feel. I don't, as I said, I don't look at the Garmin. And this really helps me. I think it's going to be important for my long-term career. Because I mean, as you said, we're getting younger and younger, and already at a high level, but I still want to do the sport when I'm 30 or 32 maybe.
And if you don't have a Garmin on, for example, you still kind of need to know how 200 watts feels, for example, right? And if you focus on the number every time, and if it's wrong or something, you need to have the brain understand the feeling, right?
And honestly, you also start to look around, start to appreciate the nature maybe. Because some guys honestly just stare at the Garmin the whole time.
Well, some people do all their cycling indoors and then they don't even see the nature, right?
Even that, yeah.
So I was looking at your ranking, and you had a big dip in 2023, right? And then I thought, that's weird. What happened? You broke your leg in a bike crash, and then 2024 you got hit by a car, right? Let's talk about setbacks, for example, right? So when you perform at a high level, and then suddenly you can't do anything because you got a broken leg. Mentally, how do you compartmentalize that, and sort of what's your build process from day of injury to back to the start line?
Of course, first of all, you fall in quite a hole, but honestly, the depth of the hole also changed. So my first hole was very deep because I had like nothing or no one really around me who could help me. I went to a normal doctor, and he was like, you better stop triathlon now, so you will never come back. And that's when I started to build like a proper medical team around with the help of my coach, and now I've got a great team who all communicate well together, like doctor, physiotherapist, osteopath, even psychologist, which is also shouldn't be underestimated with injuries. And like nowadays, when I have something, I don't go to a normal doctor, but I go to my doctor who knows me, who knows my history, who knows my body and the capacities of my body. Because, of course, our bodies heal way faster than bodies of people who never do sports. So this definitely helps. And then we do like short-term goals. It's like, for example, as you said, last year in October, I got hit by a car in Flagstaff just on my last ride before T100 Las Vegas. And I couldn't swim for 3 months. And first, even my doctor said it's going to take 5 months to get back into the water. But then we had like tiny goals. Like the first goal was to be able to move the arm like 15 degrees up on the side, and it took like 5 days, and I was over the moon to be able to do it. And you just focus on that. You don't think it's going to be 5 months until I'm going to be back in the water, and you start to count on the days, which is like feels like endless. But you have these short-term goals.
So you break it down into the baby steps, and then you take one step at a time. If you get to that first step faster, great. If it's a bit longer, and this also gives you like mental energy. And like honestly, when you're in this on this positive mental energy, I feel like it really helps your body to recover faster. Instead of being like in a mental hole, you hate everything around you. You are grumpy. And as I said, like the mental aspect of not just injuries but also training in general, and of course racing, I think it's highly underestimated in sports. So when something like that happens, you're originally from Wolfsburg, right? is Wolfsburg still your training base?
And no, now I train in Darmstadt when
Okay.
I'm in Germany.
Yeah, so that's still Germany, right?
Yeah, it's still Germany. It's south of Frankfurt.
Okay, so something like this happens, would you just fly home and then your team is there and you focus on your steps from then on?
Depends on the injury. When it's like a really big injury, for example, after Flagstaff, I go to Munich, where I have my like special rehab center where I can go to. So yeah, there I'm also of course 100% focused on the rehab. I go there from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m.
That's your job. Right? Your job is it basically is, right?
This really feels like a proper job. I mean, when I'm out training, when everything's fine, it honestly doesn't feel like a job.
Yeah.
But yeah, during these times, it does feel like a job. But yeah, I mean, these guys make it far more enjoyable than having to do it in your basement, for example.
Yeah, and you don't know what you don't know, right? So if you're trying to do it all yourself, you don't know if the direction that you're heading is the correct one.
Yeah, true.
And then someone told me that you're a vegetarian, right? Do you find that helps, or just the same for your training, or like obviously you need most people get their protein from their meats and stuff, but then now you don't eat meat, right? So are you how do you incorporate that into your sort of routine?
Yeah, and so now I'd say it doesn't. It's not a problem at all. So the reason for doing it was in Germany, if you want to have proper meat, or high quality meat, it's quite expensive. And when I was a student, I didn't have any money. So
it's been a long time. It's not a recent thing.
It's like for over 5 years now.
Okay.
So I just couldn't afford like proper meat, and I didn't want to have like shit meat where there's plenty of antibiotics and stuff in there. And nowadays, honestly, also I'm very cautious with everything I eat or everything I take on my body, even just creams or stuff like this.
You have to be
because of doping.
You hear like.
I mean, I don't want to eat an animal which had steroids to grow faster, so they could make more money. That's why I just avoid it. And as I said, now I know what I have to eat. Like for example, a lot of dairy. I do get my proteins like that easily. So
was it a tough transition at first? I guess you weren't training full time back then.
Yeah. So no, it wasn't that hard. Like in Germany, it's quite easy to get. And now, even like since like 3 years, there's like this whole protein hype in Europe, where everything is high protein. So it's no issues at all.
And then so what next for you, Mika? Are you this year? You're focusing mostly on T100. T100?
Yeah, for until August, 100% only T100.
Okay.
Then I take a mid-season break, and then we'll see what I'm gonna do afterwards.
So there's no 70.3. You're not in the Worlds or anything this year.
At least not until August. Maybe afterwards. I see just how the T100 racing goes. But first of all, it's like first 4 races are 100% T100 for focus there. Because I think if you want to be at a high level here, or like get a good race result, you have to be 100% committed. I mean, I'm curious how Martin is gonna go, but he's like super talented. He won the series last year, so if someone's gonna do it, then it's him.
I think this is a one and done Ironman for him for this year. He's probably doing it just qualify for Kona or for something, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And then he'll go back to the short course. So if anyone's going to crack him, this is the race. Hopefully, the race.
True. No, but for me, like long distance won't be on the list for this year for sure. Maybe next year, but I just see how the T100 develops and how I develop. I hope I don't get hit by a car again
or any setback, right?
So if I stay consistent, maybe next year, maybe also just in 2 years. I mean, nowadays with the T100, as I said, there are so many great opportunities over the middle distance. So
the next race after this is San Francisco. Is that correct? Does it stay in North America? Is it structured where it stays in North America and then?
A little bit. So it's Singapore, then San Francisco. 2 weeks later, Vancouver. 2 weeks later, south of France.
Okay.
Then London, and then Valencia. So it's a lot of travel, but luckily it's not like Europe, Asia, America or stuff like that. So it's some kind of coordinate, I'd say. But the travel, it's actually one of the things, like one of my biggest challenges this year, because so far whenever I travel, I'm completely exhausted, and it's something I completely underestimated as a up and coming athlete, how much it takes out of your body. So yeah, one of my main goals, like soft goals I call them, is like to get better at traveling this year.
Yep. Is that a recovery thing, or is that just jet lag, or?
It's a mix of everything, like recovery, jet lag, and like being stressed or being chilled at the airport. So
like mental energy, right?
Yeah, exactly. So as a child, when I was at the airport, I was so excited. But of course, it's as a child, it's normal, but it does cost you energy. And now I want to be as chill as possible, but yeah, as I said, I had some problems with it. So yeah, gonna try to improve it.
For the other races, are you going to fly in a week beforehand, or is it just Singapore is a special one for you?
As of now, Singapore is the only one where I'm going to be that early. Usually I like to go to altitude before and then travel over just like 4 or 5 days before the race. So this works very well for me with the altitude, but here I like my team and we decided that the heat is going to be more important.
The heat is more important than the altitude, right?
Maybe some hemoglobin gains from the altitude.
Yeah, man. Okay, Mika, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming in.
Yeah.
How do people get a hold of you? Is it just Instagram, Mika.Noodt, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Normally this would come out on a Monday morning, but I'm going to publish it on a Saturday so people can listen to it. They can see you in the course Sunday afternoon, and we can have a cheer for you.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks so much.
No worries. Thanks.
Bye-bye.